Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. What a week we have ahead here. We have big football games, lots of big baseball games. We hope that there's more than two or three or five or 10. And we're going to be doing some fun. Crab cakes, oysters. There's been 26 oysters. I'm on number 22 right now. We'll get to the B&O Railroad Museum this week for the Oyster Recovery Partnership. Their big gala is this week. You're going to be hearing from lots of farmers. The Maryland Lottery puts us out on the road doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. I now have the Ravens ×2 scratch-offs. I'll have these at Costas. I'm wearing my Dundalk established 1971 shirt. We're going to establish a little crab cake tour as well as one of the most delicious oyster Rockefeller. One of the things that really got this oyster thing going is, boy, that oysters Rockefeller is really good over at Costas. But I've had about, I'm at 19 or 20 now, different oysters. I was at Chaucer in Highlandtown on Tuesday night watching the Orioles clinch, having some fried oysters. You can get some oysters. You can get some crab cakes. Come on out with us. Also, our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions, 1-800-CLEAN Water, making things happen for us and keeping our water clear because I need to be healthy for the playoffs. John Martin joins us now. He's the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. And, of course, it's still Responsible Gaming Month. It's every month's Responsible Gaming Month. Slow your roll out there, everybody, especially for the playoffs. We got plenty of time here. Don't freak out about the Orioles. But before we get going with Raven scratch-offs, and I'll tell you about all the winners we had at Fadley's and the excited people that I had last week when I gave these away. Since the last time you and I got together, there's been a few champagne celebrations in the baseball world, from your Cleveland side to my Baltimore side. This is the playoffs. This is fun, right? Both of our teams made it. We can't say that very often. We get some extra baseball next week, and I think the city gets the chest puffs up a little bit. I think it's going to be a little crazy here between now and the next time you and I get together next week. This is one of the big weeks of Baltimore sports between Buffalo and the Orioles coming home and playing home games next week. This is fun.
The fun is running wild over a few, not many, a few select cities across the great US of A. And yeah, we're enjoying it. And it's all about expectations, right? And you go back and you turn back the clock to March and February and spring training, and at that point, the Orioles were coming off a 100-win season, expectations very high. My Cleveland Guardians were coming off of the end of the Terry Francona era. Not a good year last year, and most people, including me, thought they'd be lucky to be at 500 and more likely would be
I have you on tape.
less than that.
I have your April and May
Nice. Roll it.
pronouncements
Go to it.
of
Where's George Michaels? Let's go to the
white
tape.
flag. Let's go to the videotape. White flag, the whole deal. And then all of a sudden you started feeling yourself like end of May, early June. And
Yeah.
so did the Orioles. But it really has been for the Orioles, and I know you watch them every night too with Home Run Riches and what we've done here. The last 8 weeks, it's been a different team because of the injuries. I think, and I've said this, and I'll continue to say this all week as the Baltimore Positive optimist around here. I think the Ravens will have a harder time with Buffalo on Sunday night than the Orioles will for getting ready. I love Burns. I love Eflin. Those are two guys that, hey, last January we weren't talking about either one of those guys, and they're a part of this and a huge part of it. And I think getting Westberg back, getting the health back, getting some guys in the bullpen back, I feel better about the Orioles than maybe most people do based on the body of work the last 8 weeks. And unlike the Guardians are rolling, right? I mean, even the Tigers, some of these teams are playing really good baseball right now.
That it's all about what you're doing when the bright lights are shining. And the Tigers, huh? Who'd have thunk that? And clearly the last series here, the Tigers made themselves known.
We were going to
Wouldn't
go buy
surprise me.
Scoople. Now we're going to have to see him this week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know. There's still, as we speak, there's still some games to be played that will determine order and seeding. And
Well, it doesn't matter because the games are here. We don't have to go to Kansas City. We don't have to go to Detroit. Like, the games are going to be here. And that's one good part. The other part is your guys are taking like 5 days off and doing their nails and hanging at the pool.
I don't
Time
know.
off in baseball next week's going to be a story. Either way.
I don't know, because again, look at the last several years and the teams that Texas Rangers, the teams that came in huffing and puffing and came in as a wild card. Do they have the momentum to ride? Maybe they do. Although some people will say that doesn't happen. Well, it happened last year, and it's happened several times in the expanded playoffs. So I don't know that that 5-day rest is necessarily a good thing. It will remain to be seen.
Well, our pal John Martin from the Maryland Lottery, he wants to talk baseball. I don't think he wants to talk football this week, and he's not even from Cincinnati. The whole state of Ohio is struggling on the football side, but Buffalo is coming in, and we have these amazing Raven scratch-offs that are new. They've been out a couple of weeks. We've had a couple of winners that get into the kitty, and I have it all here. Pass for cash. We're going to
Yep.
take them to New York. We're going to do all of this stuff. But the most important thing is that I picked up my batch. And I don't know whether you or Roz or Doug over there bless the stack that I get, but I took those down to Fadley's and I started giving them out right away because people, $20 winner, $10 winner, $2. I felt like Oprah. I'm like, you get a winner, you get a winner, you get. I had a very lucky batch. So I'm feeling like there was some good luck. Certainly some good luck in the fourth quarter against the Cowboys over the weekend. This is like an intersection of home run riches and Raven scratch offs right now for at least a couple more days.
We enjoy the Ravens season for a number of reasons, and players really enjoy the winning opportunities, whether it be cash on the scratch off ticket or second chance prizes. We are well on the way. And you can go to mdlottery.com and check out the details. But we've had already our first drawing, Nestor, for our season ticket finalist program, which will, as you're well aware, after the Super Bowl, after the last confetti has fallen and been swept away, we will have finalists for one lucky chance to win 20 years of Ravens tickets. And we have our first finalist. And this is, I had to look at this twice. The individual, I don't know, male or female, Giang Shi of Brooklyn, New York, is our first finalist.
Where? Brooklyn? Brooklyn? You mean Brooklyn Park, like in Anne Arundel County? No.
You know what? I only read what is given to me. And what was given to me was Brooklyn, New York. Now, go figure that.
Forget about it. Forget about it is what I would say,
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Hey, I got a stupid
Wow.
question for you, and I know you're not going to, you probably have the answer, but you won't. So when you win tickets for life, because I'm thinking 20 years, are they going to win? First thing I'm thinking is, are they going to win a Super Bowl next 20 years? Maybe. I mean, you're certainly, you could bet on that as opposed to against that. But I would say that, did they get the playoff tickets? I just wanted to know. Like, are the playoff tickets thrown in when you win tickets for life? I hope they are.
You know what?
I don't know. I see. I
don't
knew
know.
I was going to stump you. That'll be on next week's show. No, I was just asking because, like, I'm thinking, like, tickets for life. Did I have to buy the Chiefs tickets last year, or do I get a chance to get the playoff tickets? Because I'm thinking tickets for life. I'm going to hold them to that, and I'm thinking
Yeah,
there needs to
yeah.
be another Super Bowl here. So if I get
Well,
tickets for
yeah, we will
life,
have
I'm thinking I'm in for at least one champion. I'm 56 next week. I'll be 70. They're going to win another Super Bowl. Maybe not your team, not your football team, but my football team, yes, we're
yeah.
going to win a Super
If
Bowl.
if someone had talked to the younger John Martin 20 plus years ago and said, "Oh, don't worry about it.
You'll
They'll
still be
win a Super
suffering.
Bowl."
Hey, come on
Yeah,
now. I'm going to tell
yeah.
you the same thing. I'm married to a woman who had no championships other than the Celtics when she was a kid, and she's from New England, and all they do is win, 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 no matter what. And I'm thinking, you had LeBron. We had Ray Lewis. I mean, we've had in my lifetime, I don't see an embarrassment of riches, but I saw Brooks play. I saw Palmer pitch, which is why I know how good he is. I Poor Luke was born 2 weeks before the '83 World Series, so we do have some suffers here.
Yeah,
But we've
yeah.
had we've had sports is a beautiful thing for our community. I think this week is an example of that, and I think the lotteries association with the teams and sports is good for all of us, and we all know that because it was taken away from us during the plague, right?
Yes, it was. It was. And just to wrap up our home run riches promotion, again, mdlottery.com. We have long since stopped selecting contestants of the game, but we continue to pay off home run tallies as of this is not as of the first game of the Yankees
Well, they hit
series.
5 bombs on Friday night. I was worried about
Yeah,
you.
yeah, but including those, $222,000 delivered this year from our home run riches. That's 218 home runs, seven of which were grand
Not
slams.
enough grand slams. So I mean,
Well,
honestly, runners in scoring position
there's
lately.
still, yeah,
Well,
there's
last year
still
they hit
more.
6. I remember this. You told
Yep,
me had this
yep,
argument about how many of these you were going to
yep.
pay out. So you have paid out more. So on the
We have.
on the trajectory of things, they hit more. But I wanted I wanted to break you, Martin.
We
I
could
wanted to
still, we
break
could
the Maryland
still,
lottery is what I wanted to
we
do.
could still be paying off on grand slams, and three people hoping for that final series against the Twinkies are counting on that. Ronald Holden of Parkville, Teresa Stoker of Chester, and Chris Hyde of Middle River are the last three contestants of the game, all hoping for multiple grand slams in the last few days
Well,
of the
here's what
season.
so my dad, and I'm sure you had a good dad too because you're a baseball fan. My dad would say, I don't want them hitting three grand slams on Sunday or Saturday, but I would say I need them to start hitting the ball. But if they start hitting the ball like that, I'm going to say save some of that for the playoffs. You got to save those runs is what you need to do. John Martin is here. He is the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. We always encourage folks to wager responsibly. I was out at the Chaucer Tuesday night having oysters, and folks were making wagers at the bar on their phones, and I'm like, hey, make sure you knowing your limits and setting your limits and all that stuff. You have, as from the lottery perspective, let's put sports aside, scratch offs, Ravens, home run riches, all of that. You have other scratch off lines out there, and I've had them in other games. You got a new one when you do Pac-Man. I go wak, 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 and I get the cherries and the little handbags, and I know how to play Pac-Man. Game of Thrones, I don't know much about, and I don't know if you know anything about it, but I'm going to introduce it and allow you to introduce it. But there's like a whole cult community thing of Game of Thrones, right? Pretty much.
Here's what I do know. I know that you can go to any of the Maryland lottery retailers in the state of Maryland, over 4,300 of them. And for $5, you can get this week a Game of Thrones scratch off ticket. Top prize, $50,000. But wait, there's more, as there is always with Maryland Lottery scratch offs. Second chance prizes. And again, go to mdlottery.com to see the entire package at a date to be determined, most likely a year from now, because the game was just launched this week. So we've got to give it enough run out in the marketplace and give people the opportunity to submit non-winning tickets and select winners. A prize package, which would include a 5-day, 4-night trip for the winner or guest to Napa Valley, California. Of course, the round trip airfare, hotel, $1,000 spending money, a welcome reception. The winner will get to select a variety of curated tours and activities in and around California's Napa Valley. But the big deal is participation in the Seven Kingdoms experience. Now, what is the Seven
Hang on a
Kingdoms
second.
experience?
I got to back up here because I'm Googling while you're doing all of this kingdom and all. I'm like, what is Game of Thrones in case my wife asked me or somebody asked me? 9 noble families fight for control over the lands of Westeros while an ancient enemy returns after being dormant for the millennia. I'm like literally reading from IMDb here. I'm trying to like Google what it is.
Yeah,
My
that's what I said.
daughter-in-law was one of them. You know what I mean? But
Really?
apparently the series went away. Like this, it was 2011 to 19 is when the
Oh,
action,
yeah, yeah.
kind of like Seinfeld or like as we
Well,
remember All in the Family or MASH.
yeah,
Old guys
not at
like
all
us.
like Seinfeld, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Not like 60 Minutes, which is still going on, or Saturday Night Live, right? But so it's a TV show that was a fantasy show, and my daughter-in-law liked it, and I'm sure she'll be buying $5 tickets at Costas on Friday when
Well,
I'm there eating
we
crab
we
cakes.
we we hope she does, and we
So
hope that
explain
she.
these lands and the fantasy. What
Well,
they win something really cool.
so over the course of time, and the first entry deadline is coming up in October 21st. And again, all the details at mdlottery.com. We'll have 4 drawings over the course of several months, beginning in October. Each of these 4 drawings, we will select one winner, semifinalist, if you will, for the Seven Kingdoms Experience trip prize package, which I just detailed. And you can see the official description and rules on the event. But again, you go to this event in Napa Valley, California, and once there, you will have the opportunity. I mean, what's in Dungeons and Dragons, right? I mean, that kind of mindset. People who are into these things, they know all about these characters. And you talked about 9 houses. I mean, there's a lot going on there. And your
59
daughter-in-law,
Emmy Awards, international audience all over
yeah,
the world,
yeah, that's a big deal.
outstanding dramatic series in 15, 16, 18, 19. I feel like I've never seen The Wire. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I admitted that to David Simon on this show that I'd never seen The Wire. I thought he'd be mad at me. He's like, "Yeah, it's okay." I'm trying to get it if I'm going to binge it. You know what I mean? There's 73 episodes of this. It's a lot of commitment to fantasy world, but
You know the beauty of it? You got nothing but time, Nestor. I mean,
don't
what do you
say
do,
that
really?
because you're talking like a Guardians fan that's saying the Orioles are going to get eliminated next week.
I
I got no
did I
time
say
in
it?
October. I'm only having one crab cake tour in October because I can't plan anything. Because the Orioles, they might play at 1 o'clock,
Tell
they
you
might
what,
play at 8 o'clock.
let me help you. You can probably plan a few things. I'm
Now
just
you're
saying.
talking. Now, okay. I'll see you
There's a
on
whole month.
October 12th in the American League Championship Series.
Wouldn't that be so? The world is
That's
not
the
ready for
real
that.
Game of Thrones. Cleveland v. Baltimore. Shh, for the World Series. You
Wow.
laugh now. I'm telling you, 2 weeks from now,
Wow.
it's good. We're going to beat the Yankees, right? I mean, or
Wow.
I got to start the tough. I mean, it's October.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
real. It's the
Yeah. Yeah.
hunt
Yeah.
for Game of Thrones October, I think. That's a different show. John Martin is
Exactly.
here. So this is fresh now, five
Yep.
bucks. Everybody can get in. And I can tell my daughter-in-law and this huge fans of, I mean, Game of Thrones is a big deal. I mean, you and I are laughing about it, but it is, people love it. I know that, right?
There's fun and excitement. You get to play a series of games, and depending on how you advance through the games, potentially you can and you when you get there, you kind of form teams. So you're the house of Nestor,
Coat of
and you
arms. I like that.
this is your yeah, and this is your team, and prizes are then shared among all the players. So, and we're talking about prizes of millions of dollars. I mean, potentially the winning team can have a pretty good day of it or
All
week
right.
of it, as the
Well,
case may be.
it's new, it's fresh. It's going to cause me to study up on Game of Thrones here while I'm trying to concentrate on the Bills, concentrate on the Orioles and their opponent. John Martin is here. So we've had a lot of winners lately, right? And
Yes.
and I feel like when you don't have $1 million or you don't have the Mega Millions out in Lonaconing for $1 billion, that sometimes it gets a little biased. But when people win, listen, I had a woman that won 20 bucks last week on the Raven scratch offs that I had at Phillies, and she was literally doing a dance around the table. I can't imagine if you win 50 grand or 100 grand, especially if, like, you got great stories, but I know spouses surprising each other, having a good winners picking tickets that they didn't think they were going to pick. There's just it's a game of chance as well as a Game of Thrones.
The details at mdlottery.com. I love these stories, and you alluded to one of them right here. Mega Millions player wins $40,000 and plans to surprise her husband. So that's kind of interesting. She, a Pasadena resident, plays Mega Millions and correctly played the Mega Plier, which is important because her $10,000 prize was multiplied times four
And that
because
cost a buck, right?
a buck, extra
All right.
buck, went from 10 grand to 40 grand uh, with the mega plier. And she decided that she's still going to keep that under wraps. She's going to plan a dinner out with her husband, and right there, right in between the soup and the salad, she's going to hit him with this. He's going to do a face plant right into the lasagna, and we'll see what happens. I'm just picturing this.
Did it happen already or no? She hadn't
I
told him.
know it's going to happen.
She hadn't
I'm
told him? She
no,
told you and she hadn't told him?
people tell me a lot of things. People tell me things that
Ooh.
they don't want shared ever,
All right.
even
Well,
with you.
here's what I'm thinking. Ma'am in Pasadena for your husband. If he's from Pasadena, he probably wants playoff tickets. I'm just saying, start with that. Start with a deuce for game one, game two, for next week, and then we'll work our way. Because, I mean, the Orioles might run through that 40 grand here this month because we're going to do it. I'm trying to be positive, John. I mean, no, you're frowning at me. I see what
No,
you're
no, no,
doing.
no. Hey, you should be positive. I understand being positive.
Well,
Do I
this is
ever
Baltimore
understand being
positive. I mean,
positive?
I'm trying. But I do want
Exactly.
to hear. It feels like the popcorn in the Thriller, Michael Jackson thing. I'm like, I want to hear more. Like she's going to tell him next week. You better have the rest of that story for me. That's all I'm saying.
No guarantees on that.
Cliffhangers. You're giving me cliffhangers, John.
People always think about dreaming about winning, and yeah, I get that, right? I mean, it helps me get to sleep sometimes at night too. But here's one that is an interesting story. Again, mdlottery.com for more details. A Baltimore man's dream about a Powerball win comes true. So the guy apparently is dreaming on the evening of September 6th, um, when his words, a famous actor who he did not reveal, but a famous actor appears to him in a dream and tells him tells him to buy a Powerball ticket. Doesn't tell him what numbers, just
Not
buy a
Mega
Powerball
Millions,
ticket.
Powerball. I got you. All right.
So he goes up to one of in my neighborhood, the White Marsh Plaza Liquors, and
Fritz
on the next
Deischer's
day,
White Marsh Plaza Liquors. That was my liquor store for years back in the 90s. Hi,
you know
Fritz.
what? I haven't talked to Fritz to see if this is true.
I still don't
Uh,
like Alabama. Sorry,
Nobody
sorry. Go
does.
ahead.
Nobody
I
does.
had to get a cheap shot in for him. That's all. He knows that.
So so on September 7th, the very next day, the guy walks in there, didn't know what numbers, got a quick pick, puts it in his wallet. He'll check it when he checks it. Days go by, hasn't checked it. All of a sudden he checks it. Yeah, bada boom, bada bing. He's won $50,000. All because of a dream from some famous actor who told him to buy a Powerball ticket. Now there you go.
And unlike like a lot of folks, he can't go back in the White Marsh Plaza Liquors and say, "Fritz, give me my 50 large." He has to see MD Lottery. He has to come down and visit you, right?
Oh,
He wins that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that happens. Although I'm sure Fritz would enjoy putting him in the
Well, to cap this
Crimson
off,
Tide
I'm going to
mobile.
tell you a little sports story because that's what I do here. Uncle Nestor's been everywhere and done everything. You ever been to an Alabama football game in Alabama, Tuscaloosa?
I have not. No, no, I have not.
Well, this is going to play right into this because I went in 2001 Labor Day weekend. I was nationally syndicated. It's like at that time in my life, and they were playing UCLA, and I flew into Tuscaloosa, or actually Birmingham. And I went out to Tuscaloosa, and I did the Bear Bryant Museum, the houndstooth, and like all that stuff. And then I did the walk up past the tower and the tailgate and all that. And they're playing these Callies from UCLA with bleach blonde hair and all that. I think Deshaun Foster was the running back on that team. So anyway, I went. I'm there, and before the game gets going, there's 198,000 people, filing into the stadium there and all. And there's a hush. It's before Saban was the. I think Shula was the. I mean, it was a long time ago. So the crowd comes in. The crowd's all riled up. There's no UCLA fans there. It's not like a Southeast Conference game. And the video comes on, and the boards were little then. It's before they spent all the money. Big little board, and they had old film of Bear Bryant coming out. And before the team comes out of the tunnel, there's a video they play, and you're going to love this because it plays right into the lottery thing, right into our friend over White Marsh Plaza Liquors. Bear says, and you can find this on YouTube, "I ain't never been nothing but a winner." So there you go. So there you go. Nothing but a winner. That's all you're doing, right?
Wow.
I ain't never been nothing but a winner. And in a place where, and I'm like, maybe I like Alabama more than I thought I did. John Martin is here. He's the executive director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. They give me these Raven scratch-offs to give away. I promise you I got a lucky batch. We're going to be at Costas on Friday doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. Leonard Raskin's coming by. Some other friends are coming by. We're going to be doing my birthday party with Luke's birthday party on October 11th. That'll be the day before Game 1 of the Orioles and the Guardians in the American League Championship Series. We'll be down at Pizza John's in Essex. Yes, they have a crab cake. They do not have oysters. And yes, we're going to get a little pepperoni on that pizza. John, did I get everything in? Game of Thrones, Home Run Rich is ending, Raven scratch-offs getting going, and a lot of folks still to get picked on the Raven scratch-offs that could be a part of the big prize, right?
Yes, and you already alluded to some of the events coming up here the rest of this week. We will be at both the World is Your Oyster Fest with our communications team, as well as Ravens Walk for Sunday night's game with the Buffalo Bills.
Don't give the Bills fans any winning tickets. You know,
I can't
they're
I
already
can't
3 and
determine.
0. Allen's playing like
Hey, we got a guy from Brooklyn, New York, about to score 20 years. So
all right. It it's playoff time. John Martin and I will get along until such point where the
and
Orioles
we
and the
can't.
Guardians
That's
face each
right.
other. So
That's right.
that's 2 weeks away. Hang in there. Between now and then, I'm going to eat a lot of crab cakes and a lot of oysters, and hopefully I don't swallow a lot of aggression next week as the Orioles take on team to be determined this weekend. Luke will be at the ballpark. Luke will be covering all things Ravens this week out in Owings Mills. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I have Raven scratch-offs to give away at Costas on Friday. We will see you there. John, next week, I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking oysters and crab cakes and football and baseball and playoffs. Stay with us.